Hello and welcome to another episode of the More Than Digital Marketing podcast, the podcast about digital marketing and so much more by Optix Solutions. I am your host today, Barnaby. I'm a digital marketing manager here at Optix, and I am joined by...
Ricky. Hi, I'm social media manager here at Optix.
Perfect. How are you doing today, Ricky?
Yeah, really good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good. So for anyone who's been watching the videos over the last couple of weeks or listening to the pods over the last couple of weeks, you will know that this has been a bit of a mammoth day for us, hasn't it, Ricky?
Yes. Yeah.
This is our third podcast in a row we've recorded. I think it's gone really well.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it.
And we're coming out with the evergreen long-term value content for social media. So if you're expecting any news this week, Don't. Yeah. Sorry to disappoint you. But we have got really good stuff. So as you can see by the title, we're answering the question, if I was starting a social media page today, what would I do? So we've had a little bit of a run through beforehand, Ricky.
Yeah.
So you're going to kick us off, aren't you?
Yeah, and I think this is a really fun one to discuss because that idea of setting up a social media account brand new from scratch is really exciting and really fun. But little bit of a boring answer, I guess, to get us going is I would do my research. So obviously in this scenario, no idea what this social media page would be for, but there will be other pages out there that are doing a similar thing. So look at what those pages are doing. Look at the ones that are doing really well. Look at the ones that aren't doing so well. Think about who your audience is, how they might differ. Just think about those really basic elements. I'm not saying create a whole strategy right from the off, because that is a lot of work and very intimidating. And actually a bit of data to kind of get you started might be useful. But just thinking about those really key elements just before you just go and create this account with no idea what you're doing. So yeah, doing your research can make a big difference. I'm also not saying go and just copy what other pages are doing either.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't do that.
Yeah, do not do that. It will not end well. But just look at what's out there, because you want to be different. You don't want to be posting the same as other people. So see what they're doing and do something else.
Sure. I think it's important to have a look at people in your industry and out of your industry as well. So we had a client I'm working on a social media strategy for them at the moment, and they've said, our content, we don't really know what to do, and we've already done our research in our industry, and what we're doing is the same as other people in our industry. So actually, like, as a whole, our industry doesn't have a great understanding. So keep that in mind, but then also have a look at best-in-class examples.
Yeah.
So things I've highlighted recently on my LinkedIn would be like The Ordinary, Represent, really, really great examples on Instagram specifically. But even if you're a B2B business, have a look at some of the best-in-class B2B businesses. Yeah. And, you could literally just Google that to get an idea, right?
And you can get inspiration from anywhere as well. And I think it's something we're constantly kind of as a team discussing, and we'll just suddenly send a random video and be like, oh, I know this has nothing to do with what this client does, but there's an element in this video that's really great and could work really well. So I think follow just loads and loads of different accounts, like you were saying, and yeah, kind of then go from there.
For sure. So once you've gone from there, I think, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news or anything, or because it is very exciting, but I just want people to go into especially organic social media with realistic expectations. So organic social media is tough, but it's very rewarding when you create a great piece of content and it performs really well. It's also a little bit soul destroying when you put a lot of hard work into something that doesn't do so well. And if you're starting from scratch, that is likely to happen at the beginning. So I've got some numbers here of what an industry benchmark might look like. Now, this is in the professional services field, so really, really niche area, but these are kind of good ballpark figures to go from, and they all sound like really small numbers. So if you're hitting these, then don't be disheartened. So for Instagram, we've got engagement rate of 1.4% as the benchmark. So for every 1,000 people that see your video, 14 will like, comment, or share, which doesn't sound like a lot, does it? Especially at the beginning, where reaching 1,000 is quite a big achievement. Yeah. But if you're getting around those numbers, you're doing on average to start with. So if you're doing above that, great. And the follower growth rate for Instagram is about 3.5% per month. So you might see a big uplift in the beginning as your internal team all likes the page and maybe their partners and maybe some clients get on board, and you might get a quick increase at the beginning and then find that it tails off towards that 3.5%. That's pretty standard. Very similar for LinkedIn. So 1.2% for engagement and 1.5% for growth. So it's a little bit harder to grow on Instagram. On LinkedIn, sorry. YouTube is a little bit different because we don't really measure engagement rate the same way, but you're looking at much lower, like 0.16% engagement rate. And the same for X if you're on there, 0.11%. But TikTok, you're looking at 1.9% on average for engagement rate. Facebook 1.2%. So overall, depending on how the platform measures it, you're going to be looking at low 0% to high 1%, maybe into the 2% as well. So if those numbers sound good to you, great. You can find that really easy in your analytics section on your, both on individual posts and for your month as a whole. So just have those expectations if you're doing it for free. If you're putting a little bit of money behind it, that skews things and things change quite a lot. And a question we get asked a lot is how much? And it's kind of like, I don't know.
There's so many varying
what
factors.
do you want to get on? Yeah. So if you're a small business and you don't necessarily have a marketing strategy or something like that, generally you probably, I don't know. I actually don't want to put a number out there. It's difficult, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's kind of start small, maybe start with like 20 quid, see what you get from there. And if it's worthwhile, I certainly wouldn't be dropping hundreds or thousands on it at the beginning.
Yeah. I think another thing just to note on that, on your point kind of previously around like managing expectations, is when you start to do well, so you might have a video on Instagram that suddenly gets loads and loads of views, don't be disheartened if the next one doesn't.
Big time.
It doesn't, social media doesn't just work like that. You won't get one massive hit and then that's it. Every single video is going to get thousands and thousands of views. That's the nature of social media. And as time goes on, it will just slowly start to go up and up and up if you're doing it right.
Yeah.
So I guess it's kind of another element of managing your expectations. And similar, your first few posts might do really well because everyone's really excited in your team and kind of some of your clients, they're really excited to see you on socials. So they're going on there and liking everything. And then as time goes on, that might tail off a little bit.
Yeah.
So there will be kind of peaks and troughs, I guess, especially in those first few months of kind of setting up. Well, first year, I would say it takes time, especially if you're doing it organically.
For sure.
So yeah, don't get too excited when things do really well. Obviously celebrate your wins, but also don't be disheartened when, you know, things slow down a little bit.
I'm going to take that to another level. Really good point. Thank you. This is especially true if you're focusing on short form videos. So if you're posting on TikTok, Instagram and YouTube Shorts, and this is something we have experienced at Optix as well, as, you know, as we've started to post these podcast clips, is that vastly, that's such the wrong word. And in broad terms, those channels, when you first start posting short form videos or reels, they will give you a lot of reach, and your post will do exceptionally well at the beginning because it wants its algorithm to get your post as many people as possible, so it can figure out if a lot of people like this, okay, it's good quality content. In that period of time, it's really important that you're encouraging your internal teams or people who are relevant to that content to like and comment on it. And like that point, especially in those first few, is so important because after that testing and learning period, if you haven't had a good enough engagement for the views, you will kind of, I don't know if this is like the correct terms, but in essence, you will be flagged for not having as good value content. And so when you post future content, your views will be really, really limited because platforms don't want rubbish on their For You pages, if you like. So that's why you see a lot of people stuck at maybe 100 to 300 views on TikTok, for example. So number one, expect that to happen. Just keep persevering. But also, like, let's try and combat it by making sure we have really good engagement in those first few posts. Yeah,
that's great. I guess kind of on from that, is kind of thread from that is the idea of walking before you can run.
Sure.
So I think when you set up a new social media account, no matter what platform that is, it's very tempting to go, great, we're going to be posting Monday to Friday every single day, and we're going to do 2 videos a week and 3 graphic posts and all of this great stuff, and everyone's going to be really excited, and it's going to be amazing.
Only that. You'd only start with all that.
But don't. Like, take the time to get to know what your audience enjoys. If that is committing to one piece of content a week, that's fine. And I always say, like, yes, there are these kind of best in practice. This is how many times you should post on this platform. This is how many times. But for me, I think consistency is the main thing. And if you can commit to doing 1 post a week, every week for 3 months, that's great. If you stick to that and you can do that and the content's really great and your audience are really enjoying it, that is so much better than posting every day for the first 2 weeks and then not posting for a month and then suddenly posting every couple of days. Like, think about, genuinely be honest with yourself. Do you have the time to be committing to running a social media account? Yes. Okay, well, how much time do you have? Because it is really tempting and you are going to be really excited at the start and want to get going with it, but just kind of take that time to step back and think, what can you commit to?
Sure.
And also, if you're really excited at the start and you're ready to go, films a load of bulk film like we are today, a load of content, or create a load of content. Think about that. Get it done in those first few days where you're really excited to be going, and then start to kind of post it, trickling it out slowly.
For sure.
That might be a really nice way to kind of use that excitement and that positivity at the start.
Yeah. And like, don't fall into the trap of, like, if you're like, right, we're going to start with 3 posts a week, feeling like you have to put something out, because like, you don't want to be putting out rubbish just because, like, for some arbitrary reason you've decided we post on a Wednesday. I've got to post on a Wednesday. Quality,
not quantity.
Well, both. You like, in an ideal world you have both, but if you can't do the quantity, do the quality.
100%. I do think it is more important, and especially in those early days, because if I've done it before. I followed a new account and then all of a sudden they're like spamming my homepage with stuff that I'm not interested in. Like, I'm going to unfollow very quickly. While if they're kind of finding their feet and I see one thing like every few weeks, I'm going to keep following them and be more engaged. So definitely a useful bit of advice.
Absolutely. I think kind of linked to that as well, Ricky, is my biggest thing would be to have fun as well.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, maybe some people out there do, but I do to a level. I enjoy doing Google ads and I enjoy SEO and stuff, but I don't know, to me there's a lot more elements to social media, or especially organic, where it is enjoyable, like coming up with content ideas, putting it into fruition, posting, the community engagement side of it. There's so much more scope for it to be enjoyable, I think, at least. If anyone disagrees, please let us know. So make sure you are enjoying it as well as you do it. It doesn't want to become like a labor. And I think I've been through periods where, there's been lots of stress, there's been lots of workload and stuff like that, and naturally the work you produce in those moments is lower quality, and you kind of, if you're, I hate the phrase in the trenches, because like, we're just doing social media, we're not actually in the trenches, but if you feel like you're underwater and you're drowning and you're really suffering with it, you're not going to produce your best work. So you need to have that space to enjoy it, and that will help you create the best work possible.
I completely agree. Social media originally, they were all created to have fun and connect with people, and I think it can be really easy to lose that and it become, like you said, a bit of a chore and a stress. But just think about why you're on social media in the first place. Like, you want to be connecting with people, you want them to enjoy what you're putting out, and you want to enjoy kind of interacting with them and having those conversations. And I think off from that is very easy for us. We're sat here today and we're saying, do this, do that, think about this, consider this, walk before you run. But just have a go and just try things, and you're never going to know what works if you don't give it a go. So like, if you're scared of being on video, like, just try it, just take that leap, like, try and have fun with it. I think that is the biggest thing. If you take one thing away, I would say, like, enjoy it and go for it. And then you can focus on all the other stuff as time goes on, but kind of building up that confidence and enjoying using social media is the biggest thing.
For sure. Something I always find myself coming back to is like, no one dies. No one dies went through this content, or at least they shouldn't be. And like, there's no like unless you really, really mess something up, there's no like long lasting damage or consequences. Like there is a lot of scope to have a lot of fun in this. So don't lose sight of that.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Should we leave that there?
Yeah.
Leave
It's a
people
nice
wanting
note.
more, right?
Yeah.
There we go. So Ricky, thank you so much for your time today for not one, not two, but 3 podcasts. And this one in particular, it's really good to get your insights on just the day-to-day of stuff as well. And I think this is not a news or technical heavy stuff focused podcast, but there's a lot of psychological and just maybe someone out there just needed this reminder. So really, really good. Thank you.
Thank you.
If anyone has any questions or would like to submit any topics, I don't know who our next couple of hosts are going to be, but it won't be myself and Ricky. Please do send us an email on podcasts@opticsolutions.co.uk. If you want to contact me, you can email me at barnaby@opticsolutions.co.uk. And I do respond to those, and some cool stuff has happened because of that. And if you want to, I don't know, get some cool stuff with Ricky, you can email
ricky@opticsolutions.co.uk.
Perfect. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you soon. Bye.